Good afternoon and welcome. Our group is delighted to have the opportunity to present to you our analysis of the Charlotte Hornets NBA franchise with an emphasis on finances, revenue, and franchise outlook. Before we get started, let's introduce our team. I'm Valerie.
I'm Eli.
I'm Grace.
I'm Nick.
I'm Mia.
I'm Sarah.
And we are Swarm Solutions. To start off, the Charlotte Hornets were recently sold to Rick Schnall and Gabe Plotkin. The Hornets are a multiple owner private investment syndicate model. With the most recent sale, Schnall and Plotkin are the majority owners of the Hornets after they purchased the franchise from Michael Jordan. They will alternate the governorship of the Hornets every 5 years, starting with Schnall. Now, although Jordan did sell the majority of the franchise, he is still a minority owner. J. Cole and Eric Church are also minority owners, among a few others. In 2010, Michael Jordan purchased the team for $275 million. This past year, he was ready to sell his majority ownership of the Hornets and remain as a minority owner. He was able to sell the team to its new owners for a grand total of $3 billion. In 2004, the Hornets joined the NBA as the 30th franchise. As of today, the Hornets are the most recent team to join the NBA, and no new additions have been made since then. When the Hornets joined the league, they were known as the Charlotte Bobcats up until 2014, when they were officially renamed as the Charlotte Hornets. As expected, there was also a hefty fee that had to be paid in order for the Hornets to join the league. The expansion fee at that time was $300 million. Since then, the sports industry has become even more valuable, and it has been suggested that adding a new team to the league now would cost upwards of $2.5 billion. As previously mentioned, the Charlotte Hornets franchise is owned by Schnall and Plotkin. From there, we have team president Fred Whitfield, the coaches, and various departments necessary to create a smooth functioning business. Departments such as basketball operations, communication, support staff, consumer engagement, and the players themselves all work together to create a strong foundation for the Hornets franchise. Now, here's Eli with a detailed explanation of the NBA league and conference structure.
Thanks, Valerie. The NBA is split into two main conferences, the Western and the Eastern. Both these conferences are equally represented with 15 teams each to help encourage balance and competitive fairness. Each of these conferences is divided into three specific divisions. There are a total of 6 divisions league-wide. In the Eastern Conference, there are the Atlantic, Central, and Southeast divisions, and in the Western Conference, there are the Northwest, Pacific, and Southwest divisions. Each division is made up of 5 teams. The Hornets are part of the Southeast Division, which falls under the Eastern Conference. At the core, the NBA draft is organized into 2 different rounds, with each round featuring 30 picks. This ensures that each team gets a shot at selecting top players. For the 14 teams that did not make the playoffs, they're presented with a lottery structure to determine their draft picks. Now Grace is going to talk about the Hornets facility.
Thanks, Eli. The Hornets' original home, the Charlotte Coliseum, played host to the team from 1988 to 2002. Today they practice and play at the Spectrum Center, a modern indoor facility with a seating capacity of 17,500. The Hornets are the primary resident of the Spectrum Center, but the Charlotte Checkers, part of the American Hockey League, shared the arena from 2005 to 2015. In 2005, the WNBA's Charlotte Sting also found their place at the arena, but ceased operations in 2007. Constructed in 2005, the Spectrum Center underwent various renovations until 2022, when it received approval for a $275 million overhaul. This project includes $173 million for renovations, $42 million for upgrades, and $60 million for a new practice facility. Notably, the approved renovations involve a mixed-use development near the arena, featuring a revitalized transit center and retail spaces. Funding sources include naming rights, car rental, and hotel sales taxes. The entire project is set to conclude by 2027, positioning the Spectrum Center as a modern sports and entertainment hub. Now I'll hand it over to Nick and Eli for more details.
Thanks, Grace. This $256 million stadium is owned and financed by the City of Charlotte. Since 2005, the Charlotte Hornets have never been required to pay rent on the Spectrum Center, and this will continue until the lease ends after the 2029-2030 NBA season. The Hornets extended their lease through 2045. However, as part of their new deal, they will pay a total of $32 million in rent through 2045. as well as $1.1 million in capital investments beginning in 2024. Even though the Hornets will be required to pay rent, this new deal includes major renovations and the mixed-use development project that will be essential to the franchise going forward. After seeing how much money is being put into the Spectrum Center, Nick, how does the stadium generate money?
The primary sources of revenue include ticket sales, renting out private suites, corporate sponsors and partners, and hosting live events and concerts, comedy shows, and other forms of entertainment. Concessions and merchandise are also a huge aspect of revenue in the Spectrum Center. These are handled by different third-party companies that specialize in concessions and merch operations. Sports fans are a very loyal market. Studies have shown that 66% of diehard sports fans are likely to spend on brands that sponsor their favorite teams. This isn't common in most markets, so companies are spending millions to be sponsored by sports teams. The Hornets have some big sponsors such as Spectrum, Bank of America, and Mr. Beast Festivals. However, the Hornets are one of the least valuable NBA teams, according to Forbes. It's more difficult for small market teams to draw in major sponsorship numbers, but the Hornets struggle due to a history of losing, lack of a strong fan base, and having key players in major legal trouble. It will be essential for this new ownership group to change this negative public image and make the Hornets marketable again. Now that we've attacked revenue and sponsorships, I'll pass it off to Mia to dive into media rights.
Thanks, Nick. The Charlotte Hornets have two major media deals, Bally Sports South and WFNZ 610 AM 92.7 FM. Bally Sports South broadcasts all 82 games for the 2023-24 season. The parent company of Bally Sports, Diamond Sports Group, filed for bankruptcy recently. So even though their plan with the Hornets is supposed to go until 2026-27 season, there is a lack of clarity with the long-term future of the broadcast. WFNZ 610 AM and 92.7 FM have a $4 million annual 5-year deal, which is up from the $1 million yearly with the increased value of NBA radio rights. This radio deal shows the team's commitment to the Charlotte market, but the Charlotte Hornets are one of the few NBA teams that does not have its own radio station. After being recently purchased over the summer for $3 billion, the Hornets' revenue distribution has changed. They currently sit at $38 million for revenue per fan, $165 million in player expenses, $35 million in operating income, and $269 million for the total revenue. With the collective bargaining agreement in the NBA, there are pros and cons for the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets benefit from having a competitive balance because they can remain competitive by preventing large market teams from outspending them on players' salaries. Revenue sharing within the league gives smaller teams like the Hornets access to a portion of revenues generated by more prominent franchises. The Hornets also rely heavily on building through their players through the draft process and the young talent they receive. On the negative side, it's hard for the Hornets to keep superstars talent with salary cap constraints. Also, unlike the Hornets, larger market teams draw in more superstar players with free agency and max contract incentives. The Hornets don't have the money to fund a superstar franchise. But now, I'll hand it over to Sarah to share further insight on salary cap and future franchise outlook.
Thanks, Mia. The overarching NBA salary cap is roughly $136 million. For the 23-24 season, the Charlotte Hornets have the third smallest team payroll out of all the league franchises. The Hornets' highest franchise cap figure for the current season is $31.5 million, and the lowest cap salary is $1.7 million. The Hornets franchise is known for investing in lower salary players and attempts to work on developing and growing young talent. Economically, the Charlotte Hornets have seen growth since the start of the franchise and successfully bounced back in terms of revenue after the 2020 global pandemic. Suggestions for the franchise to maintain economic growth in the future include obtaining larger TV and media rights deals, signing and drafting higher profile players, which will ultimately lead to improved team performance. These suggestions will equate to an increase in viewership and support, which are key factors to growth of the franchise. The Charlotte Hornets face a unique future as they strive for success under new ownership. Their main challenge lies in their small market size, which impacts revenue generation. However, there are many opportunities to expand upon. Building around young talent, fostering community engagement, and capitalizing on North Carolina's basketball passion are key to growth. By reintroducing themselves with new players, leadership, and the new owners, the Hornets can tap into the potential of a basketball-crazed state and build a loyal fan base, propelling them to compete with the league's big guns. Here are references Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you thoroughly enjoyed our presentation of the Charlotte Hornet franchise.